The Bell Witch, formerly known as Kate Battis, America's most famous haunting, written, produced, and directed by Reverend Dr. Dickie Joe Mullen. In this video, Dr. Mullen will explore the myth of the Bell Witch, many tales and curiosities that have been developed over the years. Dr. Mullen would also invite you to subscribe to her YouTube channel where she has more than 130 similar videos.
I'm astrologer and paranormal investigator Dickie Joe Mullen in downtown Orlando, Florida. Most of you know me primarily as an astrologer, but I think of myself as a paranormal investigator. And this is something I want to share with you about the most famous and well documented of all American ghost stories. This is the Bell Witch, a story of an entity in Adams, Tennessee, who plagued a whole family with her visitations. She was actually a ghost, but she was termed a witch. And I came across this kind of by accident. I was driving to go on vacation in Michigan, and when I travel, I don't have a GPS in my car, and I don't like normal maps. What I do is check on a compass to find the general direction of where I want to head, and then I'll take different side roads and byways to get there. It makes for a really interesting journey, and I happened to go near the area of the Bell Witch, and I did have a kind of a vision of meeting up with her, connecting with her, and her name was Kate Bettis. People decided that ran into her while she was there. She each year during weekends of late September through October, those who enjoy paranormal studies and witchery can attend a unique fall festival. This is the little advertisement for it. And the Bell Witch Festival in Adams, Tennessee, population 690. It's just north of Nashville on Highway 4 near the Kentucky border, is a popular event. It features art, music, history, and folklore. And the festival's star is our ghost, Kate, the Bell Witch. Dubbed the most documented supernatural event in American history by the Tennessee Department of Tourism, no less, the story of the Bell Witch has made the tiny hamlet of Adams famous. Many incidents of the haunting date from the early 1800s right up to recent happenings. The Bell Witch Cave, located on the property once owned by the Bell family, is the scene of much paranormal phenomena. The cave has been placed on the National Register of Historic Places by the United States Department of the Interior. The Bell Witch Cave is over 400 feet long and houses a number of artifacts from the original home and farm which once stood on the property. All of this began in 1804 when a settler named John Bell purchased a farm on the Red River near what is now the town of Adams. Red River and Adams, Tennessee are the same place. He built a 9-room house for his wife Lucy and their 9 children. For about 13 years, the Bell family lived there peacefully enough, and then everything changed one day in the summer of 1817. That's when the first noises began. It started with knocking sounds on the doors and walls late at night. The family noticed strange-looking animals roaming the property. They were animals that looked kind of canine, but yet weren't like animals that had been seen. They were bears and other animals that just weren't quite normal. They were larger or had different expressions. Next came the sound of chains dragging across the floors, followed by choking sounds. This intensified over the year until the Bells were no longer able to withstand the frightening occurrences. John confided to his friend and neighbor, a Mr. James Johnson, about the terrors that were lurking in his home. Johnson tried doing an investigation and experienced these inexplicable things himself. At the time, as it went on, the supernatural presence in the Bells' home began to speak and then to sing. The voice answered to various names when asked who it was, but eventually the spirit admitted that it was the ghost of Kate Bettis. Kate had been a neighbor who had lived and died in the cave on the Bells' property. She was an eccentric and unpleasant person, the neighbors said, unless they just didn't understand her, and many of the mountain people suspected her of witchcraft. That's when the supernatural force became known as the Bell Witch, Kate. Here is the astrology chart for August the 19th, 1870. This is in the new style. That's when calendars were changing, for those of you that are astrologers. And it's a really intriguing chart. It's the closest type of astrology that we can really link to the phenomena. This occurred when the sun was in Leo and the moon was in Scorpio. This was at the first quarter of the moon waxing in light, which can be a time when activity accelerates. Scorpio relates to women and family life and also to the paranormal and the world beyond this one. The planet Mars was in Gemini, which showed that the witch was quite aggressive with things she said and threatened and saying. She even pelted their home with rocks. Her Mercury was in Virgo. She was always threatening people, and it opposed 3 planets, Saturn, Chiron, and Pluto, all in Pisces at the time. And she was very sinister in threats that she made, and, well, she may have followed through with one of them. We'll see as the story moves on. Periodically, stones would pelt the family home. They were even thrown at guests. Everything began to suggest poltergeist activity. Poltergeist is a German word. It means noisy ghost, and it's when a ghost opens and closes doors and does other poltergeist type things like moving around chairs. There was a famous movie called Poltergeist some time back, and it is a real type of spirit. It was centered around one of the Bell daughters, Elizabeth Bell. This young girl was tormented with slaps and assaults by the spirit, but John Bell was the second and most intense target of Kate's anger. The witch would laugh at and threaten John, telling him that eventually she would kill him. The attacks became more and more serious, ending in the family patriarch being unable to swallow or speak. Whether she really made him sick or just terrified him, we can't tell. But Kate was heard to say, "I've got him this time. He'll never get out of that bed again." This incident led to Tennessee being the only state to allow supernatural causes to be entered as an acceptable cause of death on the death certificate. So if you die in Tennessee, possibly one of the causes of death could be a ghost or supernatural attack. I don't know how often that law has been enacted and actually used on current death certificates, but it's definitely on John Bell's. Kate claimed to have given John a dose of some dark liquid from a bottle by his bedside. The witch then sang drunken and bawdy songs and cursed him while he died of convulsions. The liquid was examined later, and it was found to be arsenic. Even as John's coffin was placed in his grave, the voice with its insults and taunts was heard singing. Strangely, the only family member Kate seemed to like was Mrs. Lucy Bell, old John's younger wife. Kate announced that she would leave the family after death, and she was true to this promise for many years. She returned only when Lucy, very elderly and ailing, was witnessed with singing materializations and speaking with Kate's voice. To this day, many people feel the spirit of Kate Bettis, the Bell Witch, still lurks in the area. A female figure is said to materialize along Highway 41, close to where the cave is located. In 1975, a descendant, Carney Bell, claimed that Kate led him to a lost and overgrown family gravestone. A tall, imposing historical marker can be found there near Adams, dedicated to the Bell family today and its famous hauntings. Modern-day paranormal investigators have recorded voices and other phenomena on a film called The Bell Witch's Cave. And again, my picture here, the ghost hunters have posted the videos on YouTube. This is a very documented haunting and one that you can visit. The address is 430 Keysburg Road in Adams, Tennessee, if you want to go there. And you can even call the Bell Witch, 615-896-3055. There's a whole website with all these details, so they're not really secretive. And if you can get there around the time of the fall festival, there's a play where the authentic story of the Bell Witch is presented. A very interesting study in astrology and the paranormal. It's all part of the whole, really. And for American ghost hunters, it is a must, even if you have to just follow your compass to end up there. But it's okay to use your GPS and a normal map if you prefer more normal ways of traveling. This is Dickie Joe in downtown Orlando, Florida.
Reverend Dr. Dickie Jo Mullen, astrologer, psychic, and parapsychologist. Dr. Mullen provides the following services: astrology, psychic, rune, and tarot card readings, face-to-face and Zoom readings and seances, and webinars and face-to-face presentations. Thank you for watching. Reverend Dr. Dickie Jo Mullen can be contacted at her skymaiden@juno.com email address. She also has a Facebook page, which she invites you to view, and her WordPress site, where she has additional resources.